Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode 140. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards, and today we have a Gift to Africa founder, and she founded a Gift to Africa in 2005. She is a native from Zimbabwe, Sabina Zunguze. Her sole purpose is about empowering African business women, helping them to grow sustainable businesses. Welcome, Sabina.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I have given our audience such a brief bio. I've been reading a great deal about your mission and your purpose. Why don't you share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your company?
Yes, as you said, I started a Gift to Africa in 2005. And this was because I felt like I wanted to give back. That's how I got started. And where I am now is different from where I started. Again, the whole mission was to support women in Africa and whatever I could do from here. So upon doing a lot of research, I ended up thinking that there are women there at all levels of business who are doing some wonderful things, but they just don't have access to the global market. So that was my main mission and how I could help with that. I'm from Zimbabwe. I have been in the US for more than 30 years. I've been here for a long time. I quit my job because of what I wanted to do. And for the past 14 years now, I've been with a Gift to Africa. So yeah, I work with many, many women.
Tell us, you mentioned you're in the United States. Give our audience, tell us where you're located. And you mentioned you quit your job. What were you doing prior to starting a Gift from Africa?
Okay. So I am located in Destin, Florida, which is in the panhandle of Florida. That's where I am. I've traveled around a lot. I've just been here since December, but I've been around the country for a long time. So my profession, actually, I'm a trained statistician. I've been working in the behavioral health field for a long while. I was doing research in mental health and substance abuse. So I did that in probably 4 different states before I started a Gift to Africa. So I was in Ohio, I was in Utah, I was here in Florida, and I was in Georgia. And I'm sure I missed something. But I'm a statistician by trade. But all of that just went out of the window when I wanted to pursue my passion.
Tell us exactly what do you do and how do you help the women of Africa? And is it all of Africa or is it just women from Zimbabwe?
Oh, okay. No, I've been working in, I think, a total of probably 8 or 9 countries so far. And it all depends on what I'm working on. When I started a Gift to Africa, I was in South Africa. I was doing work in South Africa. I did a lot in collaboration with the South African Embassy here in Washington, D.C., and was going to South Africa. I also did some work in Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania and Morocco. I also did a whole lot in Zimbabwe, of course, being my home country, and Madagascar. So it has been a whirlwind of which country I'm working with, depending on what I'm working on. So it could be that I'm in Kenya because of one thing or the other that I'm working on, or I'm in South Africa because I'm involved with the South African, government or nonprofit or whatever. Yeah. So it's been, just depending on what I'm doing, it's been different countries. At the moment, I am doing much more in Malawi with what I'm doing right now, which is I get food ingredients from Africa and then bring them here and I manufacture. So I've got drinks, I've got different fruit powders that I do here in Florida from the food ingredients that have been, just lightly processed in Africa by the women that I work with.
Sabina, what problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
I think, when I started in 2005, I figured that, the world is now so small and we all can work together. It doesn't matter whether you're from the rural area or you are in the urban centers. So the women that I work with do such wonderful things. I started with handmade articles that the women were making, but moved on to the food ingredients that I'm doing right now. And the problem that I feel like I'm solving is just giving access to those women who have not seen, I'm their eyes and ears. So when there's something that's needed here, I know better, what form or what quality or, what would sell over here that they wouldn't know. But they are so talented in what they do, or they know a lot about what they have. It's just, to give them that access. And also the other issue that was very near and dear to my heart was that, every time you talk about Africa, people even saying a gift to Africa, it sounds like I'm a nonprofit, and I'm not. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to be a social enterprise before that word was, those words were in the mainstream like they are right now. But what I wanted was for the women to go beyond pity, because everyone feels, we have to help these people in Africa and all that stuff, which is wonderful. But you can only help people up to a point, and they need to be sustainable. And that's what I felt was missing. And that's what I still feel that I'm contributing in my little way towards.
What has been the biggest success story that has come out of your gift to Africa that you'd like to share?
Let's see. I think, so when I started, I was doing handmade products, very intricate handmade stuff. And one of our success stories was that we were accepted in a very high-end catalog for some of the stuff that we were doing. It was bittersweet, wonderful that we got such a big order in such a prestigious catalog, but at the same time, bitter in the sense that it, though we were, becoming successful, it's hard to come up with resources to fulfill such a big order, in the end. I think this is why I kind of shifted from the handmade articles to something that we could get up front without much cost. And so just to continue with that question, so when we got that huge big order that year, the women were able, there were a few of them, who were able to even start building homes for themselves. There were others who didn't have to bother with what they were getting out of the fields so that they could, get the kids to school for that year. And also that year, I guess it was 1 year where the men, the husbands of the women that I work with, actually appreciated what we were doing, because to them it was like, why aren't you going to the fields? Why are you doing this stuff? But because they saw how successful, that meant, they kind of, were warm to what we were doing.
We can learn, Sabina, from so many successful entrepreneurs like yourself and brands. Can you tell us a brand or a business that is dominating or that you admire, and why?
Ooh, there are so many, I don't even know where to start. There are so many. Wow, I don't even know where to start. Wow. Let me just be general and say that, there are now so many women who recognizing the fact that we need to help each other. It's not just about the money, it's about sisterhood. And there are so many women who are doing this now, and I can't even tell you, just single out anyone, but I admire companies that are now looking into the social aspect of helping others. I admire women who are starting companies because they feel, well, it's not just about the money. Though, you gotta eat, but just the fact that we are helping each other, we are helping enhance even those who are behind us, I think. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have one in particular.
I appreciate that. Tell us, what is the biggest challenge to being an entrepreneur?
It can be lonely. It is hard. It's not, sometimes you hear people saying, I'm my own boss, I've got my own hours, I've got, all of that comes after sweat and tears and laughter and sisterhood and, just support. If you do not have support as an entrepreneur, whether it's support from your family, from your friends, from those around you, it is hard. It is tough. If you don't, I think it's something that, you need to have, because it doesn't matter how tenacious you are, how determined, how passionate, because, you just need, there's a time you need some kind of support, whether it's moral or just physical or spiritual, whatever it is. But I feel like as an entrepreneur, you need that beyond, just the passion you have and the drive and all of that.
And how do you find that someone's listening and they say, I understand exactly what you're saying? How do I get that support?
Yes. It all depends on the situation you are in. As for myself, as I mentioned that I've traveled, I've been in different cities, I've been in different states. And sometimes when we move to a different area, I would not know anybody, but I go and seek it out. I go to chambers of commerce, I go to women's groups, I go to just to find that kind of support from those who are doing the same thing as you. If you surround yourself with people who are also doing the same thing as yourself, not particularly your own in the industry you are in, but just other entrepreneurs, and it doesn't have to be women, it can be men, but just that support of pushing you, just to know that it's okay. Even if today is not a good day, it's okay. But go out there, go and search other, you can't be an introvert and just be by yourself without, talking to somebody. And that somebody could even be your child. It could be your husband, your aunt, your friend, even if you're thinking about getting into business, those coworkers, you don't have to blurt out everything, but just validation of it's okay. Where I am today, it's okay. It might not be a good day, but it is okay. And you need to hear it from someone.
Absolutely. Talk about finances, capital. How did you get the finances or the capital to start your business?
I guess I'm one of those few who just bootleg. So I just started with what I had. I used what I had because I felt like, as I said, my background was never in business. I was a statistician, and I felt scared to go and look for money just in case I don't succeed, which is not a good thing. So I thought, if I used my own money and I mess up my own money, it is me. And because I worked hard for that money, I'm going to work harder. So I've never gone out for a loan, which is good and bad. I have always worked with what I have. I have leveraged what is out there. There are free services for those who are listening, I guess. We all know that there are SBAs, there are other groups that are in the community that are there for entrepreneurs that you can leverage and get some things either for free or for cheaper than going outright. I would, as I said, I feel like the way I've gone is good and bad. I'm still no, I'm glad that I don't owe anyone anything. But at the same time, I think, where I am right now, it's almost time for me to go out there and either, go for a GoFund, because I'm leaping into other things that I've never done before, or, just go for a loan because I need to get to another stage.
Talk to a younger you, Sabina. What advice would you give to a younger you?
My younger you, I would say, what were you thinking? No, I would say, I wish I had started what I'm doing now earlier. I am happier now. It's not about the financial gain I'm at, because I guess I was getting more out of a job that I had, but I didn't like it. But I'm a much happier person now, and I'm older. I wish I had been this happy when I was younger with more energy.
So you would have quit earlier, you think?
Yes, absolutely. I should have done that earlier. I think it would have bought me more time. I feel like I would be further along than I am now.
What is one valuable lesson you wish you knew before starting your business?
Valuable lesson. Plan. I know that, sometimes we plan for things that don't happen, but see where you're going in the short term, see where you're going in the long term. What do you want to see further on in, 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years? I think just knowing where you are and be confident, listen to yourself. There's so many things on the outside. There are people who discourage you. Some people will get you out of your way, but it's you. You know why you started it. You know why you are in it. Go with your gut feeling. You know why you're in it, because if you go outside of yourself, you never value what you're doing, because it's a hard road. It's not easy. It's satisfying. I don't want to, for people to feel like, oh, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, it's too hard. No, it's not. It's very satisfying because you're doing things for yourself, but at the same time, believe in what you're doing.
So in your business model, how do you get compensated?
How do I get compensated? Well, I guess it's a matter of just numbers. As I said, I'm a social enterprise, so it's kind of, everything I do is fair trade. I still have to make a profit, over what I'm doing. But at the same time, in the background, I have to make sure that the women that I work with are well compensated as well. It's not like business as usual where I'm like negotiating the lowest price or, something like that. No. But so as I do that, of course, my sales, my margins have got to be somewhere where I will remain in business, obviously, which is a hard thing. I mean, it's difficult. A lot of people who started at the same time that I did, I know quite a few people who are no longer doing it because it is hard. You've got to have the passion. You got to have the will. I think every day I wake up and I say, I know why I'm doing this, even if the compensation is not as I would get if I have to go back to work. But no, I would never think about going back to work. So to answer your question, it's more about just the business sense of it, just working out the numbers. How much am I getting something? How do I add so much value so that I can get myself compensated, that I can still stay in business?
And Sabina, you mentioned that you had started out in terms of making specific products. Mm-hmm. How did you, when you did the shift, at what point did you shift, and what happened to those women that were making that particular product? Are they still making products? Are they still in business? Are you still in touch with them?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. Yes, I'm still in touch with them. I think what my business model is such was not just so that I buy or I get stuff that I'm working with the women. So I'm their sole income, they get their income right from me. I was encouraging the women to also sell to others. I was encouraging women to find other markets other than myself. There are women who started little, what would you call them here? Like at a market where, in a very nice up market, they would have their little stalls there and they would be selling like to tourists, but something that's more of what they would get stuff out of. Because sometimes when you go to Africa, for those who've been there, you know that when you go to a market, everyone is selling the same thing. But I was encouraging my ladies to do something different. And I was encouraging them and also connecting them to other buyers. So those that I'm not dealing with are still doing the same thing, maybe not with me, but with others. I have those who shifted gears like I did. Instead of doing the handmade, products like we were, some were doing jewelry, some were sewing, but we've shifted and gone into wild harvesting. So I have other women that I started with the wild harvesting that I'm doing now. So it's a hodgepodge of things, but I do not have a lot of those women that I just left, because I shifted, so they're not doing anything. Somehow they found something else from what we were doing.
Tell us about, how do you handle or include your personal life, your family life, and your business life?
You hear people saying you balance it out, you never balance it out. It's kind of, that never works. I do, sometimes I would travel quite a bit to shows because I have to sell that way. Luckily, I don't have any children who are young enough that I can, I feel guilty about traveling because they're older. My husband is very understanding because, as I said, my business is not business as usual, where you would be like making millions of dollars after all these years. It's a labor of love. He understands why I'm doing what I'm doing and what wakes me up in the morning. At one point, I actually worked with one of my kids, and he absolutely loved it. And I wanted him to take reins and do it, but he said he enjoyed it when he did it with me, so he didn't want to do it by himself. So with family, I also have my sisters who are back, like in Zimbabwe. They help me out with some of the stuff that I would need because, I can't be there all the time. I have my nieces. I have a niece who actually helps me out in Malawi with the women there. So I do have family that's still back in Africa that help me out a lot, which is a good thing because it also gives them something to do beyond just my family here, where, everyone is very understanding. They sometimes, come with me to my shows and help me out.
Talk about self-care. What do you do to keep your energy level, to maintain your health and your well-being?
That's a really important question. I meditate a lot. I didn't mention the fact that I also went to school in India, and I was in India for a long time where, that was really good for my soul, my spiritual well-being. So I do yoga, I do meditating. It keeps me balanced and sane because I feel like that solitude gives me some quiet within myself. So, yeah.
What is a technology tool or a technology platform that's a must-have for you to manage your business, Sabina?
I have to have my website. I gotta have social media. That's the way I get the word out. Another technology tool, I don't know. I think social media, my website, I've gotta be on it. I couldn't exist without it. That's how I communicate with people. That's how people know what I'm doing or what's going on.
And any particular social media platform that you're using?
I was big on Facebook, but now it's more Instagram. I use a lot of Instagram, just posting what's in my mind. And then one other thing too is that I don't have just under, my products are not just under my website. I also use other websites just like everybody else does, so I've got products on Etsy, I got products on Amazon, I got products on, the other platforms. And I also have other URLs, that I do other things. As I said, I like to meditate. I like to speak about what I do. It's one of the things that I just want people to know, why I started, where I'm going with it, and whoever is interested in knowing what I'm doing. I also have another platform called Sabina Speaks. That's my other Instagram. I also do living naturally. I also do, those kind of things. But Instagram right now is where I'm playing the most.
What is your vision for 5 years from now for your business and personal life?
My business life, I am thinking, as I said, I've never gone for a loan, and now I'm thinking I need to leap. My plans right now is to have, my plant in Malawi, where we process this one fruit called the baobab fruit. For those who've never seen it, it's the tree of life. It's got this fruit called baobab, which is very rich in nutrition. So we process it. We process it in Malawi, but I would love to have, I would love to have the control from where we pick the fruit to where we are processing it to where it comes here. Right now, I've got a lot of people that I'm depending on, and I don't think I like that idea. I also see in the long run, this fruit, we also use it in different ways where it would also help the women with fuel, with other products that we can make out of it. So that's where I'm going with all of that. In my own personal life, I hope that I can have more people who can help me. So I'm not the marketing manager and the production manager and the director. And just oversee and just have someone else who loves what I'm doing, who would just do all of those things, so I can be more of a visionary, look at the whole business from the top and not be in the woods. So yes.
What is the one impact, Sabina, you want this interview to give to our audience?
I want people to know that, it doesn't matter what level of business you are at. It doesn't matter whom it is that you're working with. We all have underlying needs and wants, and just the respect that we give each other, and just the accommodation that we would give each other as entrepreneurs. Your passion, go beyond that passion. Go beyond and find, and in your heart, just feel like, what difference am I making? I think that would make you just go beyond what you envision for yourself. Because if you define what it is, that you're putting out in the world, no matter to whom or with whom, I think, if anything out of this interview, I think, that's what I would like people to know, or to just think about, or just contemplate on that.
Let's shift gears for a moment and let's talk about the worst moment in business. Share with us what was the worst moment in business and what was your takeaway?
My worst moment was, my company is called A Gift to Africa, and people feel like I'm just a nonprofit and it doesn't matter what she's doing. I just felt disrespected. And I know that there are other women, who are also in business in different sectors who just feel like, people are not respecting what they're doing. So when you are in a gathering, if somebody disrespects you, don't feel like what you're doing is not important. It is important. And I think that's what has made me keep going. And I have several moments where I felt that could have let me wake up one morning and say, forget it, I'm not doing this.
And what do you do when you hit that bump in the road? How do you adjust and reset?
Yeah, I guess it's just knowing why you are doing it in the first place. Reset. Why am I in this in the first? You're not for those people. You're not whatever anybody else is telling you. That's not why you're in it in the first place. Just reset, rewind, and go back to why you started. It might sound cliche or whatever, but I think ground yourself. Why you started, whatever anyone has to say to you or do to you, or for those who would go to a bank and ask for money and you're not given, and you feel like somebody just took a look at you and they felt we can't give, forget them. Stay your course. Just keep going at it. I mean, that's the only way you're going to rewind and get yourself back to source.
Talk about your legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, wow. I want to be remembered for somebody who was trying to live her passion, somebody who was trying to help others. And if anything, I just feel like if there's one woman who would stand at my funeral and say, I am so saddened because she made a difference in my life, that would be the moment for me.
What is the goal for the future with your brand or your business?
My goal is to have people know that A Gift to Africa is like Nike, like Apple. That's my goal. I want it to be, I don't have to explain what A Gift to Africa does. I want people to just know it. Just like people know Apple, you don't even have to say anything else.
So if you had to do it all over again, would you do the same business in the same industry?
Probably not. I think I would seek help earlier. I would seek help because you can't do it alone.
And when you say seek help from whom?
I would seek help financially. I would seek help from those who have been successful before. And I would get a mentor very quickly. And all these things I thought way after I should have. I think just having someone else that you can talk to, someone who's got the knowledge of how to, navigate through your mind, your psyche. I think I would have done that earlier. I would have gotten a mentor. I would have gone for financial help earlier. I think I would be in a better place than I am right now.
Someone's listening and they say, where do I find a mentor?
Where do you find a mentor? That's a good question. There's so many people who are out there. I think a recommendation for me, if you have someone who's got a mentor they're happy with, I think that's a better recommendation than you going online and just saying, oh, I'm going to find somebody who does, who works with entrepreneurs. Right now, if you go online, you'll find a lot of people with courses who are experts in one thing or the other, and you never know whether that is true or not, and others are cheating others. But I would say, get recommendations. If you cannot find recommendations from anyone there are also some free services like the SBA, as I said, there are SBDCs, small business development centers in different areas in the country. They are, just be open, ask, get to know people, get their references, find whether that person is got the same value as you. Over the years, I found, though I didn't go out to seek for money, I've had people who have come and asked and liked what I was doing, but their vision with my vision was not at the same level. I would get someone who wants to give me a whole lot of money, but they want it back in a very short time. And it didn't work with my model at all because I was doing very handmade stuff, which is not ready. It's not like a tech kind of thing where you do it, you sell it, and you go get, something else. So my advice then is if you're going to find someone, get recommendations. Find someone whose vision aligns with yours. Then that way, whatever advice you're going to get, you're going to respect that advice, and it's going to be something you need.
Who are your top 2 influencers and what lessons do they teach you?
I would say for me, I'm spiritually grounded. So, I listen a lot to philosophical kind of things like Oprah does. I listen to her doing interviews. I listen to her with how she grounds herself, but at the same time, she's an entrepreneur. She's figured out a way of making money, but still be herself. So for me, I feel like, Oprah has been someone I can say, wow, how did she do that? Or how does she still keep herself grounded? Yeah, I think her. I can't. I have to think who else I can say. beyond my, people in my family, I mean, it's her. It's Oprah outside of my family.
If someone wrote a autobiography about you, what would the title be?
Here's someone who listened to her heart. Here lies, or, Sabina was someone who aspired to help others, even if she didn't think about herself first. So yeah, I would say, I think that's me.
Sabina, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
My question I would ask myself: why are you still doing this thing? Why are you why are you still in business if it's so hard? And I would answer that question saying, I am still in business because that's what wakes me up in the morning. I have been fortunate in my life, in my earlier life, before I turned big, to be an entrepreneur, to have had to be in good schools, have a good, educational background, and, and so everyone else that I was with are further along to where I am. But I think that I'm happier where I am right now. I might not have the same resources, but I'm so happy with myself.
That's beautiful. And how do you keep your happy?
I know what I want. I know what makes me happy. I know what pleases me. I don't let things on the outside, distract me, which is a hard thing for anyone, including myself, to do. But I always keep myself back to the center.
Compliment the person in your childhood or your lineage that inspired you the most.
My grandmother, Sabina, whom I was named after. She was such a leader, but at the same time, she kept the whole family grounded. She was well respected. So in my culture, whenever you're given a name of someone who was at that stature, people tend to also want to respect you, because giving a name in my culture is not just picking a name from a hat. You are given because people, whatever that person did or whoever that person was is whom you are going to be. So I thank my grandmother. I thank whoever my grandmother, I guess she named me after herself. I thank the fact that she did what she did, because it keeps me wanting to be more like her.
Sabina, we've come to the part of our interview, and it's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to answer them. If there's something that you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell us the last movie you saw.
The last movie I saw was Apollo 13, out of all the movies.
You relax doing what?
Reading a book. I love to read. If I can read a book that will just make me happy, take me out of this world, fantasy, I love that.
Tell us what you're reading now.
I'm actually not even reading anything like that. I'm reading a book called Things Happen for a Reason. I don't know why, but I just picked it from the books from Barnes & Noble.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
My favorite singer or rapper? I love Common, the rapper. Yes, Common.
Your favorite dance song?
My dance song, oh my goodness. Wow, many things. I like Jill Scott, so I dance to whatever she's got that's fast enough to dance.
Yes, she's amazing. What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Bacon. I eat bacon all the time. You can give me bacon any day, I'll eat it.
And your favorite month?
My favorite month is November. And I just love November because of Thanksgiving. I feel it brings people together. And yeah, I just love that fact. And that I can see my kids in November.
Sabina, thank you for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience. Before we conclude, why don't you give our audience your social media handles and the best way that they can reach you and do business with you.
Oh, thank you. So my website is agift2africa.com. So agift2africa.com, that's my website. My Instagram account is a gift from Africa. Why, I don't know, but it's a little bit different. My Facebook page is also a gift to Africa with the number 2. And my Twitter handle is SabZ, SABZEE. So SabZ is my Twitter handle. Yeah, and also Pinterest, the same, a gift to Africa with the number 2.
Thank you so much, Sabina, for joining us. That is a wrap.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I hope somebody learned something little from our interview. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.